What if Gol D Roger and his legendary crew existed in the world of One Piece today? I mean, these same people who once shook the seas, found the last island, and arrived at the treasure that ended the Great Pirate Era, still running around in the current timeline with Luffy, Blackbeard, Shanks, and the Marines. That would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? But it's also interesting, because Roger's crew was not only strong, but they were sort of the cornerstone of the pirate age we have now. That tomorrow had been shaped, for better or for worse, by each of them. But if all of them were still alive, working as one unstoppable crew, the power balance would be in shambles in the world of One Piece. For us to understand how ruthless Roger's crew would be today, we have to remember who they truly were. The Roger Pirates were not some random strong people. They were a family, a brood of loyalists who orbited Roger's every word. Unlike many contemporary pirate crews, now organized according to feuding or fear, there had been an actual level of trust among the members of Roger's crew. At the very end, they made it to the last island, Laugh Tale. Their willpower, intelligence, and strength alone illustrates that they had no parallel. They encountered the hazards of the New World long before the world knew what the New World was, and they did it all with devil fruits being not nearly as prevalent as they are today. It was their brute haki, their expertise with armaments, and an air about their own kind that made them second to none. Now take that and throw it into the modern timeline, where Blackbeard has 2 devil fruits, Kaido dominated the skies, Big Mom built up her family empire, and Shanks is a Yonko. Would the Roger Pirates completely stomp them out, or would they have to adjust to the changing reality of warfare? Naturally, we begin with the captain, the original himself, Pirate King Gol D Roger. Currently, Luffy is the person who's at Roger's closest spirit. He carries the same smile, the same freedom-loving heart, and the same will of D. But Roger was already at the peak when he died. If Roger was alive today, he would instantly stand above all Yonko. Why? Because his haki was monstrous. He had no devil fruit, but he clashed evenly with Whitebeard, who had the strongest paramecia fruit in the world. His Conqueror's haki was powerful enough to shake the heavens. Against modern threats like Blackbeard, Roger would be terrifying. Blackbeard relies on his devil fruits, but Roger's pure haki mastery would counter that advantage. Blackbeard's weakness is that he takes more damage than normal people, and Roger's powerful swings could break him. Roger against Akainu? That would be a nightmare for the Marines. Akainu's magma powers are overwhelming, but Roger's durability, speed, and swordsmanship would overwhelm even a top admiral. And when it comes to Luffy, Roger would see him as a mirror of his younger self. Their clash wouldn't be just physical, it would be destiny itself colliding. Luffy might eventually surpass Roger, but if Roger was still around, it would take years before anyone could challenge him. Now let's talk about the right hand of the king, Silver's Rayleigh, the Dark King. Rayleigh is already legendary even in old age. He trained Luffy in haki and casually fought Admiral Kizaru to a standstill despite being rusty and past his prime. If Rayleigh was still in his prime and sailing with Roger today, he would be nearly unstoppable. Imagine a Rayleigh with the same energy he had during the Roger era, combining his swordsmanship and advanced haki with decades of wisdom. He could probably fight an admiral and a Yonko back to back without losing. Rayleigh is also one of the smartest strategists in the world of One Piece. He understands the true history, the Void Century, and the secrets of the Will of D. If the Roger Pirates were still around, Rayleigh would act as the crew's brain. He would know exactly how to counter the Marines, how to outsmart Blackbeard, and how to guide Roger to stay one step ahead of everyone. And let's not forget his role as mentor. Luffy, Zoro, and even Law might have learned much more if Rayleigh was still actively shaping the pirate era. He could have accelerated their growth beyond imagination. Then there's Oden, one of the most beloved characters in One Piece. Oden was not just a powerful samurai, he was the heir of Wano, and the only man who could read the poneglyphs along with his family. His strength was legendary. He survived attacks from Whitebeard, clashed with Roger, and nearly killed Kaido in their battle. Now imagine if Oden was never executed and continued sailing with Roger. Kaido would never have fully taken over Wano, the country would not have suffered 20 years of oppression, and with Oden by Roger's side, the Roger Pirates would have their link to Wano's ancient secrets permanently active. In modern times, Oden would be one of the few who could fight monsters like Kaido on equal footing. If Kaido and Big Mom together tried to challenge Roger's crew, Oden would be the one to break their defenses. His Enma and Ame no Habakiri would slice through nearly anything. Also, think about the alliance between Luffy and Oden. That would be insane. Oden would instantly love Luffy's spirit, and the two of them fighting together against the Marines or Blackbeard would be a dream come true for fans. Scopper Gaban is one of the most mysterious characters from Roger's crew. We know very little about him, but he was considered one of Roger's top 3 fighters alongside Rayleigh. His dual-axe style made him unique. If Gaban was still around today, he would probably be on the same level as a Yonko commander, or maybe even stronger. He could be a rival to characters like Ben Beckman, King, or Marco. His presence alone would add more depth to the already broken strength of Roger's crew. Fans have speculated for years about where he went after Roger's death. If he reappeared in the modern timeline, he could tilt battles dramatically. Crocus, the ship doctor, might not be a frontline fighter, but his importance can't be ignored. A strong crew needs someone who can keep them alive after major battles. Crocus was already skilled enough to handle the dangerous Grand Line. In today's age, where devil fruits and hockey battles cause massive injuries, his medical knowledge would be crucial. Other members like Shanks and Buggy also came from Roger's crew, and both have shaped the current timeline. But imagine if they had stayed with Roger instead of splitting off. Shanks wouldn't have become a Yonko on his own, and Buggy would never have stumbled into his comedic rise. Instead, they would still be supporting Roger's rule, which means the balance of power in today's seas would look completely different. Right now we have 4 emperors: Shanks, Blackbeard, Luffy, and Buggy. We have the Marines under Sakazuki, and we have the Revolutionary Army with Dragon. If Roger's crew was still alive and united, they wouldn't just be another Yonko crew, they would dominate all 4 seas. Roger wouldn't need territories like Big Mom or Kaido did. His very name and presence would keep nations loyal. Countries would rather ally with Shanks than risk his wrath. The Marines would be forced to change their entire strategy. They might form alliances with pirates just to balance the power. Blackbeard's rise would be crushed early. Kaido and Big Mom would probably never rise to their heights because Oden and Roger would have stopped them. Even the world government would be shaken because Roger knew the true history. With this crew alive, he could reveal it to the world at any moment. This brings us to the matchup that every fan wants to imagine: Luffy's crew versus Roger's crew. If both were at their peaks, the Straw Hats would still struggle. Roger himself would outclass Luffy. Rayleigh would overwhelm Zoro. Gaban might defeat Sanji. Oden versus Jinbei would be an insane clash of samurai spirit versus fishman karate. Crocus against Chopper would be a battle of doctors, with Crocus having the edge in wisdom. But the real question is, would Roger actually want to fight Luffy? Probably not. He would see in Luffy the same dream he once had. He might even willingly pass the torch to Luffy, allowing the Straw Hats to carry the will of the Pirate King. Perhaps the most important part of this discussion is legacy. Roger's crew was not just powerful, they were inspirational. Every Yonko today, every supernova, and even the Marines were shaped by Roger's final words. His execution created the era we now see. If his crew was still alive, their presence would prevent the new generation from taking over. The story of One Piece would never truly move forward, because the legend of the past would still control everything. That's why, narratively, Oda had to let them go. Roger had to die. Oden had to fall. Rayleigh had to retire. Because without that, Luffy and his friends would never get their chance to shine. So what if Gol D Roger's crew was still active in today's One Piece show? The answer is simple. The seas would be ruled by one crew alone. No Yonko balance, no marine domination, no Blackbeard schemes. The Roger pirates would sit at the top, unchallenged, shaping the world as they saw fit. But that's not the story Oda wanted to tell. One Piece is about the new generation surpassing the old. Luffy is not supposed to live in the shadow of Roger forever. He's supposed to rise, break free, and claim his own throne. Still, imagining Roger's crew sailing through the modern era is a thrilling thought experiment. It makes us appreciate just how legendary they really were, and how much their absence shaped the age of pirates we love today. So tell me, if Roger's crew was still around, who do you think would be the biggest threat to them? Blackbeard, Akainu, or even Luffy himself? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with other One Piece fans. Until next time, keep chasing your dreams like the Pirate King.